just in time.
And will patients actually be able to override the decisions from their willingness to pay for drugs that actually the doctors and the health economists don't think are of value?
Well, I hope not, because ultimately this is a system. What we're trying to deliver with a system like the NHS, and it's true of course many other systems around the world, is from a fixed budget to deliver healthcare for a population. So, in principle, one patient's choice is a limitation on another's choice. Okay.
Isn't that only if the patient isn't willing to pay for it, though? If they pay for it themselves.
Okay. Well, the role of individual payments and co-payments from patients, of course, is a contentious issue. In principle, you're right. If the system doesn't consider a product to be of sufficient value, then the patient can, in principle, purchase it themselves or potentially top up something that's already funded or partly funded by the NHS. But we have to be aware, of course, that there are some potentially major equity implications of that. In the patients who are sufficiently wealthy to afford those sorts of payments, in principle, get gains in their health. And as a society, we may well be interested, I hope we're interested, in the inequalities in health rather than simply maximising population health. So these are complex and difficult issues, and again, that's why the detail of these arrangements really matters.
Yeah, I think that's a slightly divisive question of yours about patients overriding it, because if you look at the broad majority of patients that require healthcare, they're over 60. They haven't all got the affordability to go out and buy their own medications. They've been saving what little they had, and we keep using it up to say, well, actually, we're not even going to fund your nursing home beds anymore. You're going to have to sell your house before we do that. And then we're going to ask them to buy their own medications if we haven't allowed that. So perhaps the newer generation are getting used to putting nest eggs aside, but the older generation haven't got that mentality. It's almost unfair to thrust it on them. I actually think the UK is a great cutting-edge place where if there's a fixed budget, you've got to make rational decisions. And actually, the majority of patients are actually fairly sensible. Now, of course, the emotive mother with a child that's got this, of course, she's got a bigger case to make. But the majority of the older patient group, they understand about this opportunity loss. I'm actually quite impressed by their rationalisation of it all.